Welcome to Black Man Lab. We are live Monday, May 3rd. We are already into May. Who would ever thunk it that we would move that fast throughout the year, man? But we are glad to be here, glad to be black, and glad to be moving forward, man, especially in today's day and age, man. So we are excited for tonight's subject matter. But before we get started, every week we have a couple of things that we do to make sure that we are in the right frame of mind for the subject matter that we are going to talk about. And one of the first things that we always do is make sure that we are centered. And when we say centered, we mean that we are in a place where all of that outside noise that we have experienced throughout the week, throughout the month, the year, whatever, we're kind of putting that to the side so that we can absorb the information that we have on the given evening that we're doing this work. So first and foremost, we want to make sure that we are centered. And when we do that, what we do is we just take a couple of deep breaths that are inhaling all the positivity and exhaling all of that stuff that just can weigh us down. So if everybody could join me real quick and working on getting centered, we're going to take a couple of deep breaths. So first off, let's breathe in real deep. And exhale, let out all that negativity, anything that we have that's holding us down out of us so that we are open and taking in all this positive energy. So one more time, inhale. And exhale that negativity out. And that's just a good place for us to start. Speaking of starting, what we did with Black Man Lab came from is about a little over 4 years now, of some fathers that got together with their sons to just get them good information, to basically download whatever was in their head to these young brothers, because we know that a lot of times our sons won't listen to us as fathers. So what was happening was brothers were brought in, whether those were uncles, whether those were godfathers, close friends, people that were trusted advisors that they could bring in and just put, as we say, put fat on these young folks' heads. That's what was happening. And that started out with just 4 fathers, and it grew to when we were in the space of Andrew and Walter Young YMCA, of having over 250 black men in the space sharing information, being open and honest and looking to be able to move forward in this yet to be United States. So that's where it came from. The other thing is, we know that we stand on all those that came before us. One of the things that we make sure that we do every week is that we bring in our ancestors into this space. So first and foremost, before we move forward, I'm going to ask my brother and fellow board member, Jarrod Grant, to help to bring on the ancestors. Jarrod.
All right. Well, good day, everyone. We always honor our ancestors each week, and we honor our ancestors by speaking their names and giving great honor to our past. So we remember our ancestors like those who created some of the first civilizations, such as Ethiopia, and we say Ashe. Those who created great civilizations like Kemet, and we say Ashe, Nubia, Ashe, Songhai, Ashe, Ghana, Ashe. We also give praise and thanks to those ancestors that were able to survive that Middle Passage. We give great praise and thanks for their survival. And Ashe, those who survived in enslavement and colonialism, we give great praise and thanks, Ashe. We also give great praise and thanks to those ancestors, those individuals that also showed us the way. From Shaka Zulu and Nzinga, we say Ashe. On these shores, we talk about Mama Moses and Marcus Garvey, we say Ashe. Malcolm X, Ashe.
Ashe.
Fannie Lou Hamer, we say Ashe, and
Ashe.
Many of the others that you're thinking about as well, Ashe. We also, the 10,000 ancestors it took to make the people on this call right now. Your blood, the blood of your own ancestors, we like to call on them as well. And we say Ashe to them as well. Ashe.
Ashe.
And then, and we want to make sure we honor all those who came before us, names we did not have an opportunity to say, but they're in our hearts and minds. Let's raise our fists. And at 3, we say Ashe 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Ashe.
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 Thank you, brothers.
Thank you, Brother Grant, man. Appreciate it, because we know that without those that came before us, not just their work, but their spirit, what maintains us in doing the work that we do as we move forward. So thank you. Appreciate that. Without further ado, I want to get into our panelists and have a quick introduction of each of our panelists. If you guys can just give a quick introduction of who you are, what you do in these spaces that we're going to be talking about tonight, we really appreciate it. Then we'll dive into some good questions for you all as well. First, I'm going to ask Brother Johnny, can you come on and give an intro?
Hey, how's it going, y'all? As you already said, my name is Johnny. Pretty much, I'm the co-founder of Justice for Georgia. That's how I met Mawuli Davis. He let me know about this panel. I wasn't familiar with it before, but basically, if y'all are familiar with the Matthew Zadok Williams family, that's how we met Mawuli Davis, through that situation. We were there pretty much to come there, meet him, meet the family, start talking about strategy, organizing, how to, help the family get active, get the case out there, story out there, how we can protest on their behalf, that type of thing. So, yeah, pretty much I got to speak with Mawuli Davis a little bit, and he let me know about this panel, and I'm really grateful for it, and I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody else. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Brother Johnny. And if you could real quick give for those that don't know, I'm sure everybody here on this panel is familiar with Brother Zadok. Can you give a quick synopsis of what that scenario is about?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Pretty much what happened with his story is a woman, she calls 911, and she says that there's a man outside and he looks suspicious. He has a knife. And the police come. And I want to make sure I get the details right. There were 2 different situations. This is how the family tells it. I want to tell exactly how they tell it. The first situation that happened outside the house. The police come. They see him outside the house. They're trying to, talk to him, whatever. The situation ends up escalating. He's coming at one of the officers with a knife. Now, one of the officers does fire him. She misses. She misses, though. And that pretty much was what happened outside. That was the first situation. The family understands people are going to feel like they were justified at shooting him in that one situation. But this is a separate situation from the second situation that happens later. After that whole thing happens, the police back off. He ends up inside of his home. Now, part of the issue with the situation with police is that the woman she probably doesn't even live in this neighborhood. She thought his house was abandoned. What she actually was referring to was the house next to his that was abandoned. So the police came the second situation, with the idea that he was occupying a house that he shouldn't be in. That was part of the problem right there. And even though it was pretty clear that he was in mental distress, he was having some type of issue, he needed help. They came and they were being very aggressive. They were trying to force their way in there instead of trying to talk to him. So they're trying to force their way in there and everything like that. And when they finally, they kick in the door. They kick in the front door and they're yelling and they're saying, I'm black too. I don't want to shoot you. Don't make me shoot you. And I feel like they were saying that, these black officers, to cover their butts pretty much, because they wanted to be heard on film, them saying, I don't want to shoot you. When in reality, on the other side of the door, yes, Matthew Zadok Williams still had the knife in his hand, but he had flipped the ottoman over and he was hiding behind it. He was crouched. Mm-hmm. Near the door. There was plenty of space between him and the officer. So there was really no reason for them to open fire in that situation or to kick in the door in that situation. But they still kicked in the door. They opened fire at him. I believe they shot him at least 2 times and killed him. But there was no effort to even try to talk to him, get him help or anything in this situation. They just busted in, opened fire. And then they left his body there because at that point, after they busted in the door, shot at him, they said, oh, we can't go in there to check on him because we don't have a warrant. Now we have to look for a warrant. And it's like, if you needed a warrant, why would you kick in the door and start shooting in the first place if you needed a warrant to go in? So
Right.
what the family wants everybody to understand is that however you feel about the first situation, that's fine. The second situation was not justified. They did not handle that well whatsoever. They should have taken, pretty much thought about the fact that he was having a mental health crisis and he needed help. And that's where any cases like this in the state of Georgia, just for Georgia, we try to advocate with everybody on this type of stuff. We work with these different families across the state. Mm-hmm. So that's where we come in at. We try to help out. But, yeah, I just want y'all to know that second situation, completely, totally unjustified shooting.
And that's that's really what I wanted to get to. I know that Just Georgia, is a big advocate for these kinds of situations, particularly situations that probably wouldn't happen in different communities, if you know what I mean. So thank you for that, brother. Appreciate that. And we will look forward to you in this conversation. Next up, my brother CJ.
What's good, famo?
Glad to have you here, brother. Can you give a quick intro?
My name is CJ. I've been a freedom fighter since I came out the womb. Ever since I was born, I knew that it didn't make sense that all we got was integration. And they lynched us, burned us, stole land, stole resources. It didn't add up. So until we get free, and I noticed we weren't free. Like, we were locked up, we were brutalized by police, we lived in poor conditions. So that was like my upbringing, and it took me a long time to realize my purpose in life, but I'm there now. Professionally, I work for the Working Families Party, and so I'm the senior organizer for the Criminal Justice Reform Department. And so for the past year and a half, I've been interviewing district attorneys, running for office, sheriffs, judges. And last year I learned that like 96% of the district attorneys are white. And 80% of those district attorneys are white men, and 75% of them run unopposed. And so knowing that what the district attorney office means to poor communities of color, and the sentencing is disproportionately affecting us in the wrong way, I want to change that professionally. And so I work, of course, with Mawuli, with Just Georgia, and Mondale, who's on the call. And so we work in Southeast Georgia. And so we working on bringing justice for Ahmaud Arbery, Kendrick Johnson in Valdosta, who was brutalized, murdered. His organs were stripped in his gym. So, and the case just was reopened. So please look at the Kendrick Johnson case. We also have the Mark Wilson case, who at the time, Mark Wilson was a 21-year-old Black male who shot into a vehicle when he was being called a nigger. His girlfriend, who was being called a nigger lover. The people that were throwing bottles and trying to run off the road were between the ages of 17 and 20. And he shot to defend himself, but stand your ground law doesn't apply to Black people of color in the United States. And so he's locked up, and the judge refuses to give him a bond. And so we're fighting that case. Then we have the Oscar Kane case, who he was murdered by, I don't want to speak, and it was either Fulton County or Atlanta PD, but Oscar was an amazing organizer, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, who was fighting to have police with body cameras. And he was murdered by a police officer who shut off his body camera and didn't follow any protocol. So that's my introduction. I'm gonna fight for freedom until the day I die.
And we need that, brother. So thank you so much for that, and we look forward to you delving into this conversation. Brother Ayinde.
Yes. My name is Ayinde Summers. I work for Project South I'm a Atlanta native and been fighting for liberation for about 20 years. And I work heavily in Southwest Atlanta, where I'm from. And we at Project South, we work on a couple of different projects that are long-term projects in terms of building up food sovereignty, reproductive justice, and then some of the more recent things we've been working on are the Urban County issues around the detention center and immigrants and just treating people like human beings. So, yeah, I've been fighting the fight for, a few years, and hopefully I'll have a little bit to share with you all during our time together.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much. And I look forward to you delving into this conversation. Brother Mondale.
What's good, y'all? Pardon the background noise. I am on the last leg of my vacation trip for my birthday. So I look like a flower. I look black and tropical for a reason, intentionally. I'm trying to increase the melon. But no, I'm black. I'm the founder of Black Male Voter Project. We are the only organization in the country with the sole purpose of increasing black men's participation in electoral politics. We reject traditional campaigns for its transactional nature, and it serves two purposes. The first purpose is to maintain the status quo. The second purpose is to reelect incumbents. Neither of those purposes benefit black men. So we are out here trying to increase brothers' participation in a way that benefits our community. Thanks for the invite.
Appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much, and really appreciate you taking some of your vacation time to spend with us, man. So really thank you for that. Brother Darren, you're on mute, brother.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, well, welcome. We're glad to be here. Name is Darren Shomari Harper. I'm a physician with a special concern for the community. I've been in community health for the last 30 years. Pretty much, today I'm representing Friends of the Congo, which is actually it's a Pan-African group, but centers its focus on the things that are happening in the Congo, the atrocious killings and things of that nature. And we are a Congolese support group. And we see that there are parallels in how the white supremacy is affecting both our people here in the United States as well as abroad in the diaspora, specifically the Congo. And part of the reason that I'm involved is trying to help to, what should I say? I think trying to help to find a solution to the policing in our communities. We feel as though we should vote no confidence in the policing the way that has occurred in our African-American communities, and therefore we need alternatives. And we want to collaborate with your organizations to see how we can bring about a new form of policing in our communities. So that's it.
Welcome, brother. Thank you. And that's you said something there that I think we'll touch on here in this forum tonight, which is the coalescing of these organizations that all ultimately have the same goal.
Right.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that.
Well,
last and not least, the young gun, if he's there, my man Dax, young brother Dax, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Mr. Mawuli, for inviting me here. My name is Daxton Pettus. I'm a youth organizer, and I've worked with various organizations and will continue working with a lot of them. I started off with the NAACP Beacon Hill branch, and then, of course, the Beacon Hill Black Alliance for Human Rights. I became the co-president of the Black Student Union, as well as the historian at first. I co-founded a new group called the Student Coalition for Equity, and I've been working with other ally and union groups. I was a part of I'm currently a part of the Cannon Removal Committee, for Beacon Hill and was a part of the Confederate Monument Removal Committee for Beacon Hill. And I continue to provide awareness, support, and resources for students of color in my school and outside my school, in my community.
And Dax, let everybody know what's your age, brother?
Oh, I'm 17. I'm graduating this year.
That's right. I just wanted to let these brothers here on this panel know that the work that you're doing, I'm very familiar with the work that you've been doing, and at what age you're doing it, man. So we're really proud of you. There's folks like you that are going to be significant in moving us forward, man. So thank you for being here. Lastly, I want to bring on my brother, who is one of the co-founders of Black Man Lab, and also the guy who probably got most of y'all on here tonight. So my brother Mawuli, what's up, partner?
What's up, brothers? I am in the middle of a wrongful death mediation. It's tough. It's tough, man. What happens to our people, and the devaluing of Black life. And so, to all the brothers who are here as organizers, I give thanks. And I've had a chance to work with most of, really all of y'all in different capacities. And so, what we're clear about is that this isn't a moment where Black men can sit on the sideline, can chill out and get high, can go drink their bottle of wine or they 40, whatever their preference is. This is a moment in our history that Black men have to organize. And so you all represent the best in that work from a variety of perspectives. And so I'm grateful that y'all are here operating in those different spaces. And this is, none but love for the sisters, because they always own it. But I give thanks for you brothers, because it's that warrior spirit that we have to help direct young brothers to use that warrior spirit against those that continue to oppress us, rather than using it against ourselves, either in self-destructive ways personally or destructive ways against other brothers, in terms of what my great late Dr. Edward Robinson called fracticide. So we don't want to engage in fracticide, because we already know they're trying to commit genocide, and they are already involved in menticide, as the great Bobby Wright would say. So all them sides. So let's get at them. I want to ask a quick question, you brothers, and I'm gonna slide and just listen for your responses. Who really, what Black man in organizing had the greatest influence on you, and why? What Black man organizer, whether past or present, somebody that just was an ancestor, or somebody that actively you worked with, or somebody you never met, you just like, man, I'm inspired by them. I read something and made me want to get down to the get down. So let's start. Johnny, you want to start, brother? And then we'll come to Mondale, Dax, Dr. D, Ayinde, and CJ, doing it that order.
Absolutely. I learned about, only a few in school, MLK, Malcolm X and everything, but there was some that were intentionally not taught about. And one of them, Fred Hampton, for me, has been one of my biggest sources of inspiration, to see what he did at such a young age. And the fact that they didn't just see him as a threat, like, oh, he might get Black people some progress. They saw him as a threat to the entire system at large. That's why they called him, a Black Messiah, and they treated him the way they did and assassinated him. So just the sheer confidence and just dreaming that big, like, hey, you know, we have to fix this ourselves. Let's feed our community. Let's educate our community. Let's police the police because they're not going to police themselves. So that type of attitude that he had brought to the table, for me, that was really inspiring. And he's always somebody I like to quote as one of my personal heroes, and another reason why I feel inspired to, you know, fight this fight.
You know, man, for me, I think more than an individual being inspired by an individual Black male organizer or someone committed to our community, I think it's the spirit of what's been lost as it pertains to Black men currently and also past, and the idea that in this climate in America, past and present, it's been extremely hostile, probably most hostile to Black men than any demographic, and the statistics will show that it's still happening. The spirit of Black men to still come together in spaces like Black Men Lab and show up the way we show up, knowing that our community requires more than us on the corner drinking 40s. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't drink if they want to. That's a biblical thing. The Bible says in the Old Testament, give to the poor strong liquor so they may forget their problems. So if we're talking about poor people, Black men definitely represent, unfortunately, that statistic. So I would say the spirit of Black men in general, knowing great Black men that were nothing per se. Not when I say nothing, I'm not saying by my standards, but by American standards. These men entire lives meant nothing. My father being one of them, because he had a third grade education, because he was born on a plantation that they called a sharecropper, and his father or my father's father didn't own that farm, so they would never inherit anything. All they would do is just work for this white man who continued to steal from them every year, leaving them in more debt to him. And this cycle made my father more valuable on the plantation, making sure his family didn't leave the farm than it did in anybody's classroom. So he had to stop school to do that. And I knew as I began to travel that anybody born in 1949, like my father in the South, had a story similar to that. So that made my father not an anomaly, but the means, which means there are great Black men that their growth was stunted by America, racist society. So, and these brothers still smile. My father still loved and hugged us and is still with my mother to this day, 13 kids later. And I know plenty of Black men that have similar stories. So that spirit that is Black man is my motivator.
I would say for me, I can't tie my inspiration to one Black man, but multiple. Mr. Davis had a big influence on my life, and some of my peers have also had big influences on my life. Upperclassmen, when I was an underclassman, always, when I surround myself with intelligent people, they always spread that knowledge, spread their knowledge and inspired me to go greater lengths to help people of color. Definitely my father had a big role in inspiring me to be an advocate for others. And I would say him raising me and also my mother introducing me to social reform is my true inspiration to continue to do stuff like this as a part of my moral code.
Appreciate you, Dax. Who do we have next? Doc?
Yeah, that's me. Brother. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't pick one. It wouldn't be right to do that for some of the ancestors who really influenced me. I heard many people mention their fathers, and I think that I would have to start there myself. My father was a World War II veteran who, as he always says, he's jumped in and out of foxholes for this country. And as he returned, he had difficulty holding and maintaining jobs for several reasons. You know, many due to racism, and because he wouldn't accept some of the indignities that were thrust upon him, and he responded in ways that wouldn't allow him to keep those jobs. And so I saw this as a youngster growing up, and my mother was a nurse, so it led me towards medicine. And as such, and I grew up watching Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and others, as well as those who brought the information to us, information about our history, such as Dr. Ben Buchanan and Dr. Clark. I was in New York at the time, and were nurtured, had the honor to be nurtured by them in our history as African people. Then later on, as I attained medical education, I looked at folks like Che Guevara. Che Guevara is as a physician, he really holds the standard for which I consider those who are in the medical profession to pursue the needs of their people, and by any means necessary. And so those are some of the folks who inspired me.
We got Ayinde.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Wow. So I'm definitely gonna say Paul Robeson. I consider him to be a superhero, and went up against the Supreme Court, won, defended himself. So I just thought that was extraordinary. Just this idea that this black man would do something like that. And being born and raised in Atlanta, of course, we hear a lot about Dr. King, and have relationships with, the family from different directions and whatnot. So, I've definitely been inspired since I was in the third grade by the work that he was doing, and how he conducted the work with community members here in the city. And he actually was my father's Sunday school teacher. And just being able to pull from a lot of incredible men. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my father-in-law. His name is Akinyele Umoja, and incredible brother who I met about 20 years ago. I actually met he and Mawuli around the same time. It was it's been an incredible experience learning from these men. And so Akinyele Umoja, book writer, of course y'all know Dr. King, and then Paul Robeson.
And brothers, thank you for your answers. It's very inspirational about these individuals. Mawuli's question was definitely tied us to a lot of the individuals that you are tied to. But I wanted to ask you.
Don't forget your boy though. Before you get to the questions, let me
hear
my people.
I'm sorry.
My people.
I'm
Before we go into the program.
I apologize. I thought we was on the last one. Go ahead, bro.
All right, so I got only because if it was about me, I'd let it slide. But I got to give a shout out to the people who like helped me. So like my first organizing moment was when I saw the picture of black men with the signs around them saying "I am a man" during the '60s. And as a kid, I saw no other races or ethnicities holding signs to prove their manhood. So in my mind, I'm like, how can your woman respect you? How can your kids respect you? Like, how you gonna expect freedom if you gotta hold signs and march and shit and show that you are a man? Like, how does the black family respect you, and how can you protect it? And that got me into my like moving my mind. And so the organizers, I want to shout out Victor Barnett, who took a bunch of kids who had idle time, and he created a basketball program called Running Rebels where we played basketball and we were able to bowl. And that turned into a multi-million-dollar nonprofit where it became a mentoring service where kids got caught with pistols and dope. Instead of going to jail, they went through this mentoring agency. He had like a 98% success rate where kids went to college and didn't reoffend. And watching the progression of him wanting to change the community was inspiring. And then Frank James started this Free Your Mind movement where he talked about history and spiritual and physiological stuff. And then following him, it was Harry Belafonte who brought me to the Gathering for Justice. And he brought me around Nane and Gaylord and Danny Glover. And he talked about Kingian nonviolence. And that like shaped me to the person that the mind frame of organizing so that I can reach back to young leaders and give them the game that I got.
I apologize, CJ, and thank you very much.
And CJ, check this out. This your boy from Wisconsin. That's how y'all be doing. Yeah, man. Yeah. This your boy from Wisconsin.
He from Racine or Madison. He can't be from the crib.
He from the crib. He not from, he from Racine. He gonna play you like that. And see, he hoop too. See, so I'm like, man, y'all be stepping on each other in the what do y'all call it? The WI. Y'all throw it up. All right, go ahead, Jarrod.
Yeah, well, Mawuli's question was great, and y'all's answers were just tying it to the individuals of the past. I want us to try to look at historically what ties our history of the movement to the current movement. What's so unique about today's movement? Because we know it's one grand movement, of our liberation, of our humanity. As you talked about, brother, I am a man, getting our dignity back. My stepfather talked about the first time hearing Malcolm X and what that did to Black men, especially him, that they had never heard a Black man speak like that, with the ferocity of just straight up manhood in the defense of the Black community. And so I just want to see what's so unique about today's movement. And you can tie it back historically if you like, but what's so unique about the movement and what you're doing in the movement today? We can start off with the young guys, and then I'll bring it to the elders because I know y'all going to bring something, as well. I'll start off with Daxton.
I will say, personally, I'm always learning new things about the history and the movement. But as I continue to get older and grow, I continue to add more on to my organizing and add more skills and knowledge to how to navigate getting people to make change. I would say that it's been maybe more difficult to reach out to my peers who are my age because of the distractions that we have nowadays, and working to take hold of those and use those to my advantage, like social media, has been a big influence on getting participation from my peers in movements I'm a part of.
All right. Brother John Yar.
Yeah, so there are definitely a lot of similarities to the movements that came before us. You see some Marcus Garvey and some of the Black men in these movements, the pride they take in being Black and talking about, Pan-Africanism and things of that nature. Even some people are still talking about, Back to Africa movements or, the flag that Marcus Garvey, made popular, things of that nature. And you see similarities to people, to the 60s in general, the civil rights movement. You see parallels to that. The way it just seems like there's just so much momentum for like protests to go on and things of that nature, which is a direct, almost like, it's just so much different from what happened years before. Years before, I felt like there wasn't as many people getting more and more active as there is right now. And I think it, at least looking backwards in history, it looks like it was similar in the civil rights movement where everything reached a boiling point where people were like, no, enough is enough. We have to do something. And the same thing's happening now for some of the same reasons. I know, like, reading different reports and things like that, a lot of different protests or race riots or anything like that, they were sparked by police brutality. And you looking at that being going on for decades and decades and still happening now in 2021, which is ridiculous. But there are differences too. I know some of the older activists in the fight, they've told us, like, y'all's movement looks different. It looks more diverse. You have far more, people of other races joining into the movement, things of that nature. So there are definitely some differences in the movement and everything. And of course, like Dax mentioned, we have different tools and distractions too. Good or bad, they're not really either one. It's all about how we use them. So like he mentioned, we put our events out on social media and everything. Like, we actually have a march coming up this Saturday and next Saturday as well. And the best way for us to reach other, activists, especially young activists that want to be involved, we put it out there on social media. We get other pages to share it. And that increases the chances that they see it, and then they show up and they, walk up to us like, hey, how can I help? What can I do? What does this family need that you're marching for today? So it's definitely some differences, but it's the same spirit that keeps us going, that keeps us moving.
And Johnny, we used to go to the black bookstores and put out flyers 2 weeks ahead of time. And that's how we reach the black community, right? We have straight up flyers at the black bookstores when they were still black bookstores, not others. CJ, am I lying, man? It's just that was just one move. And once we got tapped into a radio station, rest in peace to our brother Chris. Y'all know Chris, who was on WAOK. Chris Askew, who used to hold it down. You could call into Chris Askew, and Chris would let you get the word out. So that was the old school way.
I say, bro. Brother Ayinde.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Movement today. I see a lot of similarities actually, and you asked about the question about the men, and I actually think more about the women and their strategies around organizing. Septima Clark, Ella Baker in Atlanta, Eugenia Burns Hope, the wife of John Hope, but not a back seat though, by any means. If you all are in Atlanta, you may have heard of the neighborhood planning units, or these things called MPUs, that Mayor Jackson put in place, but it was the brainchild of Eugenia Hope originally. And so these neighborhoods needing to organize in our neighborhoods and our communities is so needed. Between gentrification and our people being pushed out from so many different angles, it's critical that we begin to get back into the grassroots of it all that was led to us by, our mothers, So Ella Baker, like when I think about how many SNCC members have passed, but if it wasn't for Ella Baker, we wouldn't have no SNCC. And when I think about just the organizing power of Septima Clark and all of those elder mothers, we're talking about 5 million people learning how to read and then get the right to vote. And we're talking about young folks, you know what I mean? So the need today, I think to be able to get our people educated and up to speed in our communities, on the ground, grassroots, the need is great. Like the young man who came before me, it's so many distractions now with a lot of the young people that we organize out here with the organization that I'm with. Their eyes are so diverted. It's put on us like it was put on those mothers. How do we get this literature in front of the eyes of these people? How do we get this message in front of these people? And then we got to take it another step, because it wasn't just about getting them literate. It was about getting them politically aware enough to say, hey, this is the direction that we are all going in. And I bring up those elder mothers for the last moment just to say that they did all of that knowing that they wouldn't even get the right to vote, that they were teaching these brothers how to read and write, and they didn't even, knowing that they wasn't going to get the right to vote, and that's just hardcore, you know what I mean? And we need that type of spirit when we're talking about moving forward our movements as a collective, as the brothers who spoke a couple of times before, just around all of our organizations and all of our new movements needing to be together, collective. And just to say, back in the day, that movement that was that large, they were actually organizing poor whites and it was organizing black folks. So just to say.
I share, Brother Summers. Thank you for that. Political literacy. I love that. Yeah, and awareness. Brother Robinson.
Yeah, a couple things, man. I mean, let me push on it a little bit, Jarrod, if you don't mind. Push back a little bit, gentle, because I already know that if you throw your fellow West Knight, well, y'all guys are West Coniston, whatever y'all like, you throw him under the bus, ain't no telling what you'll do to me. I'm a country boy from North Carolina, so I don't want the smoke, but I do want to push back on the idea that we have a. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead,
bro. Mondale. But all these Negroes come from the South, so his people from South Carolina.
Don't remind them.
They don't want to know that. Folk now, so don't get it twisted. Ain't none of us from the North for real.
Malcolm said we from up South, right?
That's right. I'm from North Mississippi. That's
hey, I love it. And I'm so glad you interjected with that, Brother Davis, because it's exactly what I was going to talk about. I don't say I'm a part of a movement. Movements run out of gas. Movements stop. And I think when we separate the movements, it's because we use that term. If we just talk about the struggle for Black liberation, we can never say it ended. Because when we do that, we forget about the people who did it when it wasn't popular, people that were doing the work in the gap years between King and the BLM movement. So all of those people that died fighting for our liberation in that time deserve our honor as well. So I don't see a time, there's no difference in it. I see an evolution. I don't think there's any difference now than in our movement or in the struggle than it was then. If you consider the cotton fields and the songs that our people were singing, and also the Maroons that were hopping from plantation to plantation at night, that was the damn internet. It was their internet. I mean, you had messages moving from people running from plantation to plantation at night and through songs. So, I mean, we just have the tools have evolved, absolutely. We have evolved, absolutely. But the struggle is the same. We're still fighting for Black freedom, Black fullness, and Black equity. So I think like the idea that, we are radical now, that is evolution. Our grandparents and our great-grands called themselves niggers. So for us to call ourselves Black with erectness and not as a derogatory term is progression. And I think that we're obligated to recognize that progression even in the gap years. So I don't think there's a difference in the movements or the struggle. I think we have evolved and there's more to do. So I still see respectability politics in our fight, but then I also see the fire of the respectability politics from King's side, but I also see the fire from Malcolm X. So I think that is proof positive that we've not changed, we just evolved. And I'm excited about that, being a part of it, of that legacy.
Ashe, brother. Ashe. We go to my homeboy there, CJ, and then Dr. Harper.
All right. Amazing conversation. This is so dope.
CJ, he got you in early in the lineup. He got you in early.
Right. I know. Hey, look. You peeped that, right? We good. We working. We working.
That's that no look pass alley.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And trust.
Hopefully I can bring it home for you, G.
And trust, he don't really like to pass the ball. He really is.
Oh, he greedy?
No, I'm just a true two. That's all. I'm just a true two. The shooting guard. That's what you do.
He the one and a two. Got you.
And before you go, CJ, we just had Brother Charles Black, veteran of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, join us. So I just want us to pay homage to this elder and long distance runner in the movement for Black liberation and struggle and justice. So I had to just pause because Brother Black came on. Are you able to come on camera, Brother Black?
No, I look despicable. I need a haircut.
But look at me. Look at me. That ain't enough, brother.
Your last name is the truth.
I don't look a whole lot worse than that dude. Let me see. Okay. Let me see. I'm gonna turn this thing on here. All right, don't run now. Don't run. Let me see. It didn't come on. Let's see.
Oh yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
Good. You good. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you guys at the top of the session, but I was hoping I could at least catch the great summations that you will be offering.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Brother CJ. Was we're gonna Jarrod, Professor Grant can kind of tell you where we are. I think we got a couple people, and then we like to tap you in.
Yeah, you came at the perfect time. I think you will round this line of questioning off. We were just looking at what ties the historical movement with the current movement. And so we just want to, even though we think it's one movement, we all agree with that. We just want to know just what your thoughts are on that. And Brother CJ was going to talk, then Dr. Harper, and then, of course, you, Elder Black, will ask you to speak on that as well.
Well, I'm always offended by the notion that there was a civil rights era. You know, like what we did in the 60s was it. You know, we've had this battle going on for 400 and some years now, and it takes on various turns and twists, but the problem is still manifest throughout all of our generations. And what it boils down to is that the people who have money and power want to keep it. And that means that they will do whatever it takes to maintain that money and power. And usually that means pitting everybody else against each other so that we are distracted from what they're doing. It's one example I use when I've made some presentations is you can do this with either money or chairs, but you get 10 people, each representing 10% of the population, okay? And you give them an equal amount of money, say $1 a piece or $10, whichever. And that's equity, okay? Every 10% of the population has 10% of the money, all right? Then you have one guy, say the second one from the end, to collect all the money. And he gives 7 of those dollars to the guy on the end. And so he's got $3 left. He keeps 2 of those dollars. And he puts the one last dollar in the middle of the floor and tell the other 8 people, y'all have a good day. All right. That's how our society is run. Now, the reason the guy second from in got $2 is because he is the congressman, the governor, the senator, whomever, corporate leader, whose job it is to keep those other 8 people in discord. So they are paying attention to the guy who has the $7. All right. So he gets paid for that. And of course, the 8 people have got to fight to see if they can get a piece of that $1 bill out there. And what the guy, number 2 guy does is he said, you should not like him or her because of religion or because of race sexual orientation or whatever else. It doesn't matter what the discord is about. The whole point is to keep those 8 people fighting about any and everything, while the guy that has the $7 goes off and buys another island, a 3rd airplane, a 5th house. And that's the ball game. And once these 8 people all wake up to the fact that whether you're a poor white cracker, or you uppity Negro, or you a Muslim, or you a Jewish, or whatever else is your otherness, and that we are all in this game together, then and only then can we change the game. So that's the bottom line for me.
Ashe, Honorable Brother Black, thank you very much. Brother CJ.
Yes, so thank you, Brother Black. For me, I just think that integration hurt us more than it helped us. We don't, like in Georgia, they're closing hospitals. We don't have hospitals, we don't have banks, we don't have teachers, educate. Like we have no ownership, we have no power, right? And so in the 60s when we were segregated, it was community, right? And the dollar circulated. And so you knew who your enemy and your oppressor and your opposition was, right? And so when you integrate, like if you look at right now, we have more educated, college educated, we have more wealthy folks, right? Folks can move wherever they want. But as organizers and activists, now we're going into communities where it's people that look like us that's shooting and killing, right? So when we knock on doors, we're risking our lives not to be hung by the Klan, but we're risking our lives for bullets because it's drive-bys and 7-year-olds and 1-year-olds are getting shot. It's drug deals going wrong. Like we're risking our lives. And when our people look in the mirror now, when they look in their reflection, they hate their reflection. And so when they go out into the streets, it's nothing for them to kill their own. And we're asking our young people and we asking folks to organize against who, like the people that's so-called conscious, they know who the enemy is, but we still have to go into our communities and be servants and knock on these doors where our people that we love and that we have empathy for don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? So what happened is we lost our way. And so when you don't own anything, and they had 400 years to like study your psychology, study your behavior, they own the immunization shots, they own the education, they own the media, they own the visuals of movies. Like we just don't, we're not real no more. We cool with trinkets. And what happens is, it's not until someone get cancer that they want to be a cancer fighter, or that someone's kid is murdered by the police, they want to become an advocate for police violence. And until we realize that we are in war and that we need to be alert and on our shit 24/7 and not wait for it to hit home, we're never going to be free. All they did was change integration to segregation, slavery to mass incarceration. But the policies changed, the names changed, but the game is the same. And so when you talk about the 60s, the Panthers, they were young. They were like 16, 17. They were revolutionary. In Ferguson, the activists were young. They were young, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Until intergenerational, the elders and the young people can really work together. Like we got to work through feminism. We got to work through all lives. We got to work through so much stuff instead of liberation for Black folks. And so what's exceptional, though, to the question is that we still here, we still fighting. We can get on calls like this with elders, and we can listen, and we can learn, and we can grow. And then it's up to us to go back and do our homework and our research and get out here and fight for our freedom.
And that's powerful, brother CJ, because it tails into what I kind of wanted to bring about as our last, because we're already up against it. I told y'all at the beginning that this is going to go fast, didn't I? Especially with a topic like this. But we're already up against the clock. But I don't want to have this conversation without us having a takeaway in terms of how do we move this a little differently, right? We know, and everybody on here has talked about, we talked about civil rights, and people always utilize civil rights as the tip of the spear, but we really know that this has been going on for well over 400 years, and it's deep and it's intricate. And what we're seeing today is a repeat, if you will, of a lot of what's happened in our past, specifically as Black folks. So when we see the same thing happening over and over again, you get the same results. I think we're at a point today where, if done right, we can utilize our history and what we've learned in the past and change the paradigm of what our future really looks like. So I just want to put that to you all. What do you think could be a different thing to do with our organizing, with messaging, with how we coalesce differently? Because quite honestly, that has probably been our biggest bugaboo, is that our ability to coalesce all these different organizations has been fractured for a variety of reasons, whether it was political reasons, whether it was infiltrators, whether you name it. There's been that. So what would you say would be the difference maker for us to move forward as we organize, even if we look at who we have on this call tonight? And I'll start with you, Doc. How about, what's your thoughts with that?
Our unification, I think, is our greatest challenge. We are the most diverse people on the planet. I think the scientists tell us that there's more human diversity genetically on the continent of Africa than all of the rest of the world put together. And that says something about us as a people. We are diverse within ourselves, and therefore sometimes we wonder why we have difficulties when we come together to do anything. Everyone has different ideas, but you understand, we were the firstborn of the Creator, so we were made to create as well. And so our ability to think outside the box, to be innovative and different, is built into us in our DNA. And so our ideas come in very diverse fashion. Many of us think outside the box. Then when we try to organize together, all those different ideas come clashing together. We fight with each other oftentimes. But I think our greatest strength is our diversity. But also we will have to get that diverse way of thinking under control and pull together. That's our biggest challenge as a folks, is the umoja, is bringing it together. I think we have to learn also from our history, the Sankofa. Nothing that we're doing now really is that different than what folks have done before. I beckon things like this book called Generations of Resistance, which discusses the South African struggle. I mean, we are fighting against the same things, and the oppressor uses the same tactics on us time and time again. And sometimes I think, because of lack of education, we're like fish. I always used to wonder as a child, how does fishing work? Where you just put a worm on the edge of a hook and you put it down there, and a fish will grab it and get sucked up, and all the other fish will see this guy grab this thing and get sucked up. And yet when he sees a little worm on it, he's going to grab it too. I just never knew how that worked. I mean, because it shouldn't work after the first few fish get pulled up. You shouldn't be able to get another fish.
Right.
Don't teach the fish now, because I love fish.
Yeah. Sometimes I think we have been disconnected from our history. And so that is a big part of it. I think those of us who are on this call understand that. Many of us understand the history. We have to start to get our folks engaged in understanding that history and knowing us. Because honestly, brothers, I feel as though the more that I learn, the more that I love our people. I mean, what's not to love about us?
Right.
I'm serious. I mean, we give and give and give, and we get very little in return, and that needs to change. We need to start thinking about ourselves a little bit more. I think the difference between what we've seen before and what we see now is an evolution, the coming together of the two ideologies, if you might, of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X in terms of here in the United States, in terms of us merging the two ideologies, which was coming together before they were assassinated anyway. Because the truth of the matter is we need to do both of those things. We need to fight for our own communities, as well as we need, by any means necessary, as well as we need to engage other communities, et cetera. And I think that's what we see happening in today's movement. I'm very reluctant to discuss today's movement because I'm not as connected to what's happening on the ground as I once was. But from what I'm hearing from those of you who are, it seems as though we have a lot to look forward to. Part of what we celebrate in the Nguzo Saba, that last day is Imani, faith. And I think a lot of what we have to do moving forward is to maintain our faith. There's always been a small cadre of us who have kept that torch going from generation to generation, and we just need to grow that cadre. And it's happening. It's happening. I don't know if it's cosmic or what it is. Brother Dr. Finch, I don't know if many of you know him. He says it's the age of Aquarius, and so things are going to be happening out there. But I can see that, and the age of Aquarius is a feminine energy, by the way, and therefore I can see how the women's energy and the feminine energy, which has always been there, but you can see it becoming more dominant in today's movement and in today's world. And I think we have to understand that energy and move forward with it. Don't fight it. There are many macho brothers out there that want to say, hey, I'm the man, I want to be. No. You don't have to lead all the time, brother. Now you have to support as they have supported us. And our energies together will move us forward. So I don't want to grab too much more time.
It's okay. It's great information and great feedback. I think that one of the things that you said there that is essential to us being able to galvanize and move forward is, in fact, us recognizing that we are such a diverse people in where we come from, but there's also some intricate commonalities between all African people, right? And we see that, and you actually touched on some of those things, such as us being creative and innovative, being about community and about family. Those are the things that are kind of intrinsic in who we are as a people. But, for whatever reason, as we've organized moving forward, sometimes there's divestment from those things, for one reason or another. And I have in my mind what I think they are, but I want to keep this going with you all. So, Brother Black, can you expound upon it from your angle?
Yes, I was listening with interest to the good doctor there. One of the last things he mentioned was women, and you need to know if you don't have women in a movement, you ain't got no movement. The brothers will pontificate. We'll hold press conferences, make speeches, and all that. But when work gets done, it's the women who are in the leadership and organizing and getting stuff done. We learned that back in the 60s. And so we started with Spelman College. We got the ladies active from Spelman College, and the Morehouse guys followed, of course. And then we got students from the other schools all involved. But I want to get back to the two main points that I want to leave with you. That is the matter of money and power. They're interchanged like space and time. And the thing that we often do is to wait to see who's going to run for office and then try to choose from the lesser of the evils. I think we need to move beyond that and begin to encourage people who should be in office to offer themselves and to help them get elected, but also to help them become oriented to what's needed in the community and then hold them accountable. You got to do all of that. Otherwise, you have what you have now. Some folk who run for office because they need a job, or others run for office because it's an opportunity for graft, or just for self-aggrandizement of some sort. And they don't report back. and the community lets them just go on and do whatever they're going to do. But the thing that made the success of our movement back in the 60s was that we withheld our finances and our votes. We wouldn't vote for folk who were not, although, no black folk, no Jews, no women for a good long while out there. We did choose the lesser of the evils, but we demanded certain things of them and held them accountable. I mean, they didn't, stack up. We supported somebody against them. But the downtown boycott that we had for a whole year, targeting Rich's department stores, the main target, we cost them $10 million over Christmas holidays, with our boycott. That is what got their attention. The picket lines, they weren't happy about that. But the picket lines and the boycotting and all that led to their loss of what amounts to, in today's money, more than $500 million. So they came to the table and agreed to desegregation. The thought that I have in terms of things we can do, in addition to the political approach that I just suggested, the Black community in the United States has a net worth of like $1 trillion. Annual gross national product about $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. Most of us go to church, and we put a lot of money in the collection plates. So that on Monday morning, the church folk go to the banks. Some banks, most cases, it's going to be a white bank, and they deposit hundreds of millions of dollars, probably $1 billion in some weekends total. And we don't demand anything of that bank. If there's a black bank in the community, you should start there. But you sit them down and say, no, this is the amount of money, we have to pass through your bank. But these are the things we need in our community. We need to erase the red lines, so people can get mortgages for their homes, get financing for their business enterprises and the like. Or we're not going to put our money in your bank. We will go to the bank that agrees to do these things and that will do these things, and we'll hold them accountable. That's a concrete thing that gets attention and makes change. People don't care about all the talk that we do. They do care about losing money and power. So those are the thoughts I want to leave with you.
Appreciate that, brother. I'm going to get one more because we are way up against the clock here. I'm going to get one more answer, and then I want to get into our habits, rituals, and disciplines that we do every week. And what that is, we want to find out what it is that keeps you all moving every day with as it relates to your habits, rituals, and disciplines. What keeps you motivated and pushing through all of these different struggles that we have to deal with that are put on us as Black men every day. So real quick, Dax, if you could answer that question, then let's get into the habits, rituals, and disciplines.
I wanted to touch on something that Mr. CJ said, that Mr. CJ focused on.
Go ahead. Hey, Dax, how you doing, man?
How you doing, Mr. Black? Nice to see you.
Right.
I want to touch on something that Mr. CJ focused on and Dr. Harper talked about that really hit home with me. They didn't say it specifically, but one thing that I think that we need to focus on is not getting comfortable. Because as a youth organizer, I see constantly that my peers are getting comfortable with the system when they are rewarding us. But then when the reward stops, it is much more clear that they are not here for us. And I think that happens in a lot of aspects of the movement. And us getting comfortable is a big part of the reason why progression slows down. Staying uncomfortable and staying on your guard, like Mr. CJ said, I think is the number one thing to
Hey, dude, I know you're 17, but you're not going to call me Mr. CJ. You're not going to.
Sorry.
Call him brother CJ.
brother CJ, I apologize. Sorry, I apologize. But staying uncomfortable and standing your ground and always staying on guard. That's my biggest takeaway of how to maintain a strong and healthy progression.
Great stuff, Dax.
Hey, real quick, brother Marty framed it. Habits, rituals, and disciplines. Give it to us in 20 seconds. What do you do? Habits, rituals, and discipline. What are you doing on a daily basis? Boom. Dax, you first. You just finished? Come on, what are you doing every day, man? So that you can, because we talk about self-care, you got to be able to, this is a long distance. This is a marathon. We passing a baton, but we got to be able to, you know, stay up on our feet as we move and not flat on our back. So Dax, what are you doing, brother?
I'm not really, I don't like focus on my self-care like that. I just, you know, work with what I have, you know, so I don't really do anything. I apologize.
The 17-year-old me would agree with you, but we'll tell you, Dax, that it's a good idea to develop some habits, rituals, and disciplines to keep you moving, brother. But I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah. All right, Johnny.
Yeah, so as far as self-care, you know, definitely sometimes you gotta unplug. You just gotta unplug, just tune everything out, you know what I'm saying? Let yourself recuperate, you know, recover, read, write. I'm a big nerd, so games too. But that's my self-care. But as far as inspiration, social media, look at what these families are posting and how they get inspired by us. And that's the fuel that keeps me going as well.
All right, Brother Ayinde.
I keep a strict discipline around my family. And that is movement for me. You know, it starts with our families, being able to be in relationship. And so with everybody that I work with and that we fight together for liberation, as part of my discipline, I make sure that I'm in relationship with them on some type of personal level. We do, you know, whether it be through text or, you know, making sure I return a telephone call or you be there when, you know, when they ask. And then the other side of that is accountability. I let folks hold me accountable. And that's my, those are my rituals.
Man, young people, submit yourself to a collective of responsible organizers who are principled and move with integrity. There is no such thing as a free agent in this work. If you just out there by your dammy, then you really out there by your dammy. All right, CJ.
To know that this is a selfless and not a selfish work. Every day I wake up and I remind myself to lose my ego. And I'm surrounded by mothers who tears have touched me, who hugs have held me, that I don't do this work for myself, but I do it for Oscar Kane. I do it for Kendrick Johnson. And so every day that I wake up, I'm reminded of why I do the work. And as long as I'm reminded of the reason why I do the work, I'm reminded of when me and you, Mawuli, went to Weeping Times and they sold 436 of our elders in 2 days into slavery. Like that means something to me. We went to the dungeon in Savannah and I saw the slavery dungeons where they held us in shackles. That means something to me. So when I wake up, I'm ready to go. I'm trained to go. If God gave me breath, I'm going to fight. And how I stay disciplined is because I kick it. Like I'm balanced. Like I still party. Like even when I'm partying, I'm still organizing. Like Mondale, like I could be out at a club, but if I hear somebody playing an instrument, I may have them, or singing a song or doing poetry, I might have them open up my training in the morning. I stay on point 24/7, even when I'm partying. So you have to have balance. And when you wake up in the morning, just be blessed and know that if you're going to do this work, you got to be selfless. And even when you get distracted or you get weary, find something to remind yourself of why you do it so that it can ground you again. And then let's get back to
it. Bet. Dr. Harper.
Yeah, I try to break things down into physical, and spiritual, mental health. So I try to use those pillars. And then so every morning, I say my prayers, get down, try to get my little calisthenics in. Then I check on what's going on with the finance, and then it's the children, you know. So a lot of us are providers and concerned with family first, and I'm no different. I don't know, most of you, I should let you know, most of you, I lost my wife about it'll be 2 years come August. And so I'm still searching really for my regimen and how I'm going to redirect. I'm recalibrating in terms of how my life is going to go. So, but certainly those are the 3 pillars that I've always based my regimen on, basically physical health, mental and spiritual health, and the family, essentially. Yeah.
We appreciate you sharing, brother.
Yes, sir.
No problem. Right.
Brother Mondale.
Hey, real quick, Mondale, before you go, can everybody, I'm sorry to cut you off, can everybody drop your information in the chat? If you have your organization, your information, just put it in the chat so we can maintain you in our database. You can do that. Go ahead, Brother Mondale. I'm sorry I interrupted, brother.
It's all good, brother. That's an important commercial. So I think first let me say, Dr. Harper, my condolences, and also you look strong and unbroken, and I appreciate that.
Well, my wife
my habit is
any other
I commit
way.
myself to reading. Indeed. I commit myself to reading 13 articles written by Black people every day, not from America, not from mainstream. Keeps me connected to my people outside of fake geopolitical borders, reminding me that the suffering does not stop at the Atlantic Pacific Ocean for Black people. My ritual is I pray. I pray before I eat. I pray when I wake up.
Appreciate you, brother. You may have lost him, but
I think we lost.
Coming back. Brother Black, Elder Black.
Yes.
Still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
something happened.
And, sorry about that, Elder Black. And lastly, right before you go, Mr. Black, just my ritual is writing. I make myself write an hour a night.
Wow, that's good. Thank you, brother. Brother Black.
My system missing here. Something's happened.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, brother.
But we can't.
Oh, good. Okay. You don't want to see me anyhow because I look too bad. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to be just like you guys when I grow up. I'm do all those good things. If I had known I would live as long as I did, I would have taken better care of myself. I'm 80 now, and I intend to live to 113. But
God bless you, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do some of those things that you guys are doing. But I tell you what, I do. Well, I pray all the time too, all day long. I pray about anything and everything. But I also spend a lot of time, thanks to the internet, on trying to expand my mind, learn new stuff about all kinds of things all the time. And I'm very much into the cosmos, for example. And, it kind of grounds you to realize how much there is out there and how insignificant we are as a planet, as a entity in this total universe. But we do have just this one little planet for our home, and we got to take care of it, or it's not going to be able to take care of us. So I think about all that kind of stuff. But I have been in the habit of always saying yes to any request that was made of me to make appearances and all that. If I legitimately did not have a reason not to do it. I mean, it was a worthy thing to do, and I didn't have something on my calendar. But in recent years, I've learned that there's such a thing as no. You can make yourself unavailable for your own health. And so I've learned to do that. And I don't answer phone calls from numbers that I don't recognize, and if there's no name there. or anything. If there's something important, I'll listen for a message and respond accordingly. So that's kind of my life. And I stay in touch with close friends and stay in physical contact with close friends all the time. And I think that's extremely important. No matter how small that circle of friends might be, we all need that.
Yes, sir.
So if you're not doing that, add that to your list.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let us all link arms.
Thank you.
We're going to close out in our traditional way, y'all. So this is, we call, it was given to us by Queen Mother Njeri Algani, an organizer in Atlanta. We link arms and we repeat as she told us. And I just want us to hold this for just a moment and think about, just for a moment, that we had an 80-year-old organizer and a 17-year-old organizer and everything in between. And that's what Black Man Lab is about, the intergenerational sacred space, holding space for Black men to be able to be who we are called and created to be in the interest of our people. And so I just give thanks for all of you organizers who get up every day in your respective ways to bring about some liberated space or time for our people, so that there will be a time that we are completely and fully liberated all over the planet Earth. So we give thanks to you all. And we say, I am a link in this chain.
I'm a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
I am a link in this chain.
I am a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
We are links in this chain.
We are links in this chain.
And we won't break here.
And we won't break here.
Ashe.
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 Thank you all.
Brothers, thank you again. We so appreciate you all coming on and sharing tonight. And hopefully we'll all connect and continue to move this forward as a group, so we can reach that liberation that we all so desire. So thank you again, and we look forward to having you back. So
I appreciate you having that silicone, that silhouette of me on your wall behind you.
Yeah.
That sure looks like me, man, I'm telling you.
Turn it to the side, brother.
Yeah,
that might be you back there.
Everybody stay safe, be good.
Thank you again.
All right.
Appreciate y'all, man.
All right. Appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
so
Love
much.
y'all.
Have a nice
Stay
one.
safe. Stay healthy.